Hello everyone, welcome back to Athletic Approach. Being an athlete is inspiring. It can be very empowering and sometimes even a little bit glamorous. But what most people don't see or even want to talk about is the challenges that come with pushing your body to its absolute limits. Today, I wanted to shine some light on 6 things athletes go through that no one hardly ever talks about. How can we tackle these challenges? So the first thing is years of practice for only a moment of glory. Or that moment of glory can turn to embarrassment. Every athlete knows this feeling. You train for months and years for a few seconds, a single performance, or just one game. And while the glory of winning is unforgettable, the road to get there is pretty long and honestly a bit lonely at times. I turned up to track 3 times a week in the snow, in the rain, in the gorgeous sunshine. I sacrificed thousands of hours for that one golden moment that I had that I didn't even know was going to come. Even though I believed in myself, the pressure to make that moment come true was just so overwhelming. So from this experience, I now coach my young athletes to celebrate the process, celebrate every little training win, no matter how big or small it is, and to not just focus on the outcome of the competitions. I also like to encourage some of the athletes that I coach to set realistic goals that focus on long-term growth and not just short-term results. If you're a coach or parent watching this, all I can say is to help highlight those small wins during their journey, whether it's a new personal best or simply just showing up consistently. Feelings of failure when it doesn't go to plan. Honestly, every single athlete you know has experienced some sort of setbacks or have experienced mistakes that they made in their performance. What people don't realize is how deeply that can affect an athlete's self-worth. I recently watched the documentary on Netflix about the World Cup final at Wembley, and honestly, the scene where it shows Marcus Rashford and Saka facing an avalanche of criticism after missing a penalty. Some of it was just really hard to watch, and it's so incredibly personal. I mean, even a mural of Rashford was defaced, which is incredibly sad to see. But these fans often overlook the mental toll it takes to perform under pressure. Even putting your entire heart, your complete soul into the sport and the years of training into that one crucial moment, only for it to just not go as planned, it's really heartbreaking and so devastating for the athlete. I found so many articles where he mentions that he's found his mojo again and he's really enjoying playing football after the World Cup. So he just looks so much happier, which is obviously a really good thing. A key to bouncing back is normalizing failure as part of growth. So frame failures as learning opportunities. One of my clients the other day said he didn't quite reach his PB in a big competition that he'd hoped for and thought he would do a bit better in. But hey, like we spoke about it positively, we asked the questions, what did you learn about yourself? The third thing that athletes go through that no one hardly ever talks about is sacrificing school or work and social life. Being an athlete is a lifestyle, and it often comes at the cost of other areas of life. I never had time for school, homework. It was always rushed, or I did it in the morning of the day it was due. It was pretty stressful. My friendships definitely took a bit of a backseat, stopped being invited out to parties or sleepovers because my friends just knew that I would have training or I'd have a competition. I do know that some athletes have missed career opportunities or that career opportunity gets delayed. One highlight of this though is it really does teach athletes to manage their time effectively, as it really does feel like a balancing act sometimes. If you are struggling with this, the best advice I can give you is to create opportunities for balance. Coaches need to build downtime and deloads into training schedules, and parents should absolutely encourage more hobbies and social activities outside of their sports. What would be even better is if schools could offer extended time for deadlines for those dedicated athletes. The fourth thing that athletes go through that no one hardly ever talks about is toxic sports culture. Sport should absolutely always be about growth and community, but sometimes the culture can become very toxic. It's usually because of hyper competitiveness among teammates or just people you train with. I've heard of verbal and psychological abuse from coaches, and one of my good friends has told me stories of bullying within the team, which eventually led him to drop out of the club. All sorts of things happen in sports. This toxic environment is surprisingly common, and it's a problem we need to talk about more openly. Again, let me know if you have any experiences of this in the comments. There was a great part of the documentary Sprint where it showed a really positive environment with Sha'Carri Richardson and her training partners Twanisha Terry and Melissa Jefferson, all training under their coach Dennis Mitchell in Florida. They always speak so highly of each other during interviews, and you can clearly see throughout the series that there is so much respect and fairness. The coach doesn't have favorites, and he just treats them all equally and gives them equal opportunities, which I absolutely love. But if your training group isn't like that, or if you're experiencing bullying or abuse, then please do speak up. Sports organizations enforce clear codes of conduct and should also have anonymous reporting systems for issues like these. So you are in every right to make your voice heard. The fifth thing that athletes go through that no one hardly ever talks about is mental health issues. Performance anxiety, depression, eating disorders. Athletes face intense mental and emotional challenges but often go unnoticed by the public. It's only since certain athletes, I can think of like Simone Biles and Adam Peaty, in recent years have talked openly about it during interviews. We can actually see, as a spectator of sport, the relentless pressure that we put on these athletes in the spotlight. For many athletes, the expectation to constantly perform at their peak while also dealing with the physical strain of their sport creates a perfect storm for mental health struggles. What's pretty sad about it is many athletes just suffer in silence because they fear judgment, they fear that they're perceived as being weak, or just worrying about the impact it will have on their careers and their families. I think a key solution here is to make mental health a core part of training and not just an afterthought. It should be maybe integrated into training just like physical fitness is. Coaches need to recognize that mental strength is just as important as physical strength. I'd love to see more regular workshops being offered and discussions or activities focusing on mental well-being, especially in all the clubs, and integrating it more into the training routine. Even getting in sports psychologists to do presentations or other professionals that can help with mindfulness, meditation, yoga, to help athletes manage that performance anxiety, manage the pressure that they put on themselves. Occasionally at the gym with clients I coach, we have a very informal mental health check-in as part of our routine. I know of a lot of other coaches that do things like this. They have check-in forms. Let's not forget the role of the parents and the coaches. The culture around sports tends to glorify perfection and winning at all costs. Athletes should be celebrated not just for their results, but also the effort they put in, the dedication that they show, the personal growth and ability to overcome some of the challenges. My main point here is prioritizing mental well-being. It's absolutely crucial to sustaining long-term success in both sports and in their life as well. One of the biggest struggles that rarely ever gets talked about is what happens after an athlete's career when it ends. I know so many athletes that have just quit because they're burnt out, or maybe just aging out of competition, or they're just constantly injured. Many athletes struggle to figure out sort of like, who am I outside of the sport? When your entire identity has been built around being an athlete, stepping away from it can feel like you're just losing a part of yourself. I know athletes who felt completely lost once they retired because they never prepared for life beyond their sport. This can lead to depression, a lack of purpose, and struggles with their self-worth. To tackle this, we need to encourage athletes to develop skills and passions outside of sports. Being an athlete is obviously very rewarding, but it comes with challenges that people rarely talk about. If you're an athlete going through any of the struggles that we've spoken about, know that you are not alone. There are ways to navigate these challenges, and the most important thing is to prioritize your well-being physically, mentally, and emotionally. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And also, if you have any of your own experiences that you want to mention, then please leave a comment below.